I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So today I've got quite a bit to unpack here, and I'm not really sure exactly how I'm gonna get it all to you to make the story go right, except to tell you that it's all a bunch of things that happened to me throughout this week. But as always, I am gonna give you my tip, and today's tip is gonna be about St. Augustine grass, but it's really gonna apply to all of you. Just like everything, there's always something here that applies to all of you if you wanna pay attention and learn it. And that being, what if you need to spot spray weeds, but you only need to mix up a really small amount? You don't even wanna mix up an entire gallon. You don't wanna have any on hand afterwards. You want just enough to do a little bit of maintenance spot spraying here in the summer. How can you calculate that, and how can you do it? Not only are we gonna talk about that and answer that question, but I'm also gonna ask the burning question, how come there is no St. Augustine grass seed available? And that'll come because I got to tour a sod farm this week out in Arcadia, Florida. It's called Bethel Farms. It's one of the largest sod farms in the country as far as I can tell. So the cool thing about visiting the sod farm was it's all a part of me trying to kind of educate myself further. The idea being is the more I can educate myself, the more I can learn, then the more experiments I can run, the more things I can test, the more I can teach you, and the better we can all become, because I know there's only so many times I can tell you, mow your lawn tall, mow your lawn often, irrigate in the summer, deepen infrequent. I mean, there's only so many times I can tell you that. You really, a lot of you guys, you want to hack things a little bit further, and so that's part of what this is me educating myself. And I thought, what better way to learn than to learn from the guys that actually grow the grass, because I would think they would be the ultimate experts, and that did turn out to be true.
So in that particular station, I have leaf wetness, which tells me how long the leaves on the grass are staying wet. I have soil moisture, soil temperature, and salinity. Ambient temperature, SP light, which is solar, how much sun am I getting, humidity, and all those things combined. About probably 15 years ago, I started documenting the weather manually to see when certain weed seeds germinated, to see when certain fungal pathogens would become active in the turf. So basically we were being reactive when we would spray. Now, I, over the years, put together models. So Rhizoctonia or brown patch. There's a couple different varieties of that. But when the nighttime temperatures are in the 60s, daytimes are in the 80s, and you reach a certain percentage of soil moisture and a certain humidity, all those stars line up, you got the perfect incubation for Rhizoctonia. So now, when all those stars line up, it's monitored electronically in different zones. It'll literally call me, and it'll call the farm manager and say Rhizoctonia alert.
So it tells you where the triangle has been,
where everything is loaded up. So then you have a guy that goes out and he surveys all the field for rhizoc. And generally you're going to find a little bit somewhere. Okay, it may be in zone 12 on the low end, and they'll put the GPS number down. Latin lawn will have everything there where we know where we first saw it. Then we can come in with a soft material like Trilogy, which is Nemo. We can come in with that soft material and put that down over all of the varieties that are susceptible.
because you got to it early with neem oil.
I got to it early with the neem oil extract, and so softer chemical prevented it. So now we're proactive about disease and insects and weeds.
The biggest thing I got out of it is the technology that is employed there. And the reason that they employ the technology is so they can create the cleanest, purest product at the lowest cost possible with the lowest impact on the environment. And it's not about just being green. They literally need to be careful how hard they impact their environment, because they're in a limited, finite space. I mean, they have thousands of acres, but those are their acres, and they got to take care of that ground. They have to nurse that ground so that they can keep producing on that ground year after year after year. And so that definitely means being environmentally friendly, literally on the ground that you own. And so what makes that successful, and what made Jonathan like one of those guys that I could talk to forever, is he literally knows his land. And you guys have heard me tell you that too. Learn your land. This guy knows his land. He drives around it and he can tell you this area here, hydrophobic soil. This area over here had a little bit more of this pulled in than that. This area over here holds a little bit. He just knows, and he keeps records. He keeps his own journals. He understands everything that's going on. And that way, the next year, if he's had a problem or a challenge in one spot, he can already be ahead of it, which can mean he can get to it before it becomes a problem and use a little bit less chemical or corrective or whatever he's got to do. And what'd you say is over, what is this over here?
This is Provista.
This is the Provista. Okay.
Been under research and development for over 20 years. It has a dwarfing mechanism, which means your you're concentrating the chlorophyll so it stays greener longer without a bunch more nutrients. We still got a lot of data coming in on it. What I like is the consistency and the fact that it's 50% less mowing is huge. An active dad, and I'm gonna go on vacation, and I'm gonna go out west where it's cool, or go up north where it's cool for the summer, and I'm gone for 3 weeks, and I come back, I can mow, and I'm not gonna have this much thatch
Yeah.
that I gotta rake up. It's just gonna be very little thatch. Well, because it's not growing as fast, it makes sense that it's using less nutrients and water.
So fewer inputs overall.
Fewer inputs overall with a very dark color. I mean, if you compare it, I mean, even looking here, there's a difference between this and the floor tam. And you gotta figure it, floor tam, it's a great grass. Developed by University of Florida and Texas A&M back in the 70s, and it's still, there's more of that than any other turf grass on site in Florida. So it's not a bad grass. It's just that we're coming out with technologies that's allowing us to do a better job.
That was pretty cool, huh? So I have a pressing question. Why is there no St. Augustine seed available?
St. Augustine is a hybrid.
Okay.
If you take a donkey and a horse and you breed them, you get what's called a mule.
And it's sterile.
They're sterile. You can't take a mule and put with a mule and get another mule. It don't work. So it's the same thing in the plant world. So it's a hybrid, and so the only way to propagate it is vegetative. Now, 1 out of every several million seed will be viable. And that's part of what plant breeders do, is they'll take an area like this and put 2,500 to 3,000 small, what we call germplasm, and they'll let the wind and nature blow them back and forth. You collect all those seeds, mix them up, put them out in pans, and if something germinates, you try it.
And then you hope it's different than everything else and it's got some good qualities.
Then you take those little plantlets and you plant them out, and you look for certain qualities in them.
And if it's enough difference, then you can claim you got something new, right?
You claim you have something new.
So then when I see my St. Augustine going to seed, all those seeds are all sterile, but I could get lucky and there might be one in there.
There might be one.
That's interesting.
And I'll give you an example. Palmetto St. Augustine
Good for shade, yeah.
was found within a floor tam field. And they pulled that specimen out and propagated it, and it ended up being a great cultivar. It's been really good to us.
Yeah.
So it's cold hardy, shade tolerant, and
Softer on your feet.
softer on your feet, lower profile.
Yeah.
This is some of our material that's been harvested.
Really cool stuff, but I figured I wanted you to hear Jonathan talk about it, because this dude, I'll tell you what, you guys have heard me say that John Perry is the George Clooney of lawn care. Jonathan is the Dennis Hopper of lawn care. You bros are white. Bro. Brother, you're waking up the whole neighborhood now. What's going on with that? These things are like someone's knee replacement. So I did discover that these, being like this, takes out that locking right there. So you do need those in, but still there's a lot of travel there. See that? It's a little bit like riding a rodeo bull as you go down the lawn there. You can see, look at all that play in there, but the deck isn't moving, but this is moving a lot. Alright, so I've got some weeds that I need to spot spray here, but not that many, but there are a couple patches that are getting away from me. I've got some nutsedge spots that I want to kind of hit a little bit, and I got some other weeds coming in, some dollar weed and things like that. So just a couple small spots I hit, but I don't want to mix up like even an entire gallon of weed control. I only want to mix up a small amount, which is here in this 32-ounce spray bottle. Now you can get whatever spray bottle you want. I just got this one here. This is just like a Home Depot one, but you want one that has an adjustable nozzle so you can adjust the fan spray. I actually had some simple green in this one before. I know what was in it, but I'm going to go ahead and triple rinse it. That way I know that everything in here is safe, and then I'm going to label it with what's in it. And I recommend that you do that too with all of your jugs. You don't always see me doing that, but definitely something like this that can end up on a shelf anywhere. You want to label this so you know what's in it for the future if you put it away with a little extra and you forget. Now I'm using Blindside today. This is a dry flowable. I'm using this because it's what I have on hand, and also because I have nutsedge. This will get nutsedge. You could use like Celsius if you wanted to. There's a bunch of different weed controls you can use. I'm just going to show you how though. How do you figure out how much to put in when you're not doing a full gallon? Because everything we do is in gallons. How do you figure how much to put in when you have a smaller amount? So today I'm going to be using Blindside for that. There is a heat restriction here, so we're going to spray this at night. So I've showed you guys this trick before. I'll show it to you again. Do you need a surfactant, right? Do you need that? So I'm on the Do My Own website here, and you can always go and get the label there. So that's what I did. I pulled it up. You obviously want to make sure that the label that you have here is the same label that you have here, which I've done that. So this is the same. You hit Control F, and then you can type in, and what this will do is it'll search the document, and then you can just type your word in there, surfactant, and you can see that the word appears 5 times. And so what it does is it highlights it for you as you move down. And you'll see here, use of surfactants. Temporary discoloration of some turf types may result from a use of surfactants or adjuvants with Blindside Herbicide. High temperatures and high relative humidity may increase the risk of injury. So we're going to spray this at night when temperatures come down after sunset. That way I'm hedging my bets. By the way, if there is a heat restriction on your weed control, that means just don't spray when it's that hot. You can spray later or earlier. However, I recommend you spray at night just so it's not like you get a temperature spike an hour after you spray. So I'm going to spray in the evening, but for now I'm going to go ahead and mix it up and show you how we do that. Alright, so you'll remember we talked about Blindside before and we calculated the cost of it. I'll link in the description below to that. The reason we did that is because we've been working lately, we've been doing a lot of series on that, teaching you guys how to understand how much it costs for you to do an application. So if you remember though, what we got is that our application rate here is 0.23 ounces per 1,000 square feet. That'd be doing a blanket spray, but that's still good for a spot spray rate. So 0.23 ounces of this product goes into every gallon of water. So that means then that 0.23 ounces of this product goes into every gallon of water, and 1 gallon covers 1,000 square feet of lawn space. But we don't need quite that much. How much do we need? So our sprayer is 32 ounces, and 32 ounces is 1/4 of a gallon. So we know now then that everything that we do as a mix rate needs to be reduced to 25% or 1/4. So then if I know that 0.23 ounces is supposed to go into 1 gallon, I need 25% of that in order to fill up my bottle. All right, here we go. Repetition is the key to learning. So the bottle size, again, our spray bottle's 32 ounces. That means 1 gallon is 128 ounces. So we have 1/4 of a gallon. So we need then 1/4 of the 0.23 ounce apparate, which is right there. That's the 1 gallon apparate or the 1000 apparate. We need 1/4 of that. So 0.23 times 0.25, which is 1/4, equals 0.05 ounces. So that's how much we need to put into our 32 ounce spray bottle in order to get the correct application rate. Now you'll see that when you get this product, this is a tip and pour, they give you measurements, see on there, and you just kind of ching it in there like that, and you hope that you get the right amount. If you get this from Do My Own, link in the description below, I think they send you a measuring cup, which is probably a little bit better, but it just depends the style or packaging that you get. But the best way to be totally accurate with this is to actually weigh it out. And so that's what you're gonna have to do anyway, because you don't have a way to get 0.05 ounces from this tip and pour or from any cup or anything. And by the way, you can't just use any cup. Because of the shape and size of the product, it's gotta be measured out in the way that they provide for you, or you could actually do the actual weight of the product, which is what we're gonna do. Already a little heavy. So again, my scale just isn't quite sensitive enough here, I believe. So we're gonna pop it up a little more, because you can see I put more on there, it doesn't move. So I'm gonna call that good. Close enough for government work. And again, we're spot spraying here, and I'm probably gonna be a little bit heavy-handed anyway, but And of course, I know you guys are gonna ask me, how did I like it? How did it cut, And obviously you could tell I don't like that jiggly, flaccid handle at all. But I guess I'll get used to that. But once I got going, I did enjoy mowing with it, and it did deliver a nice cut, which is what I always expect from a super recycler. So as I tell you guys, I need some more time on equipment. I can't judge equipment right away. Anytime that you get a piece of new equipment, that's change. And typically as humans, we resist change. So it's never good to really judge a piece of equipment on that first impression, even though I do share it with you because I kind of enjoy doing that. But definitely I need more time on this equipment. And yes, we are gonna go ahead and compare it to the Honda HRX here eventually. Lots of good things coming here in the fall. But for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get more time on it. You're gonna see it, and I will tell you, it is really good to have my old friend back in the garage.